All right, welcome everyone. It's Chris Petri again, and we're actually having a really fun time creating some figure work here on this tutorial. We're doing a seated male figure. It's in a really nice landscape type format, some trees, some grass. We have a nice, interesting director's chair. This is a really fun painting to do. I hope you'll try it. It takes a little while. We're going to start out with a pencil sketch, a light preliminary pencil sketch, which is probably about 20 minutes to a half an hour, the first part of the video. Hard to see on the camera sometimes, but as I do that preliminary sketch very lightly, I kind of explain what I'm doing the whole time. So that's the important part, that you kind of get how important the preliminary sketch is. Secondly, after that, we do the regular dark pencil sketch. So you'll see the very, very dark pencil lines go in, and we'll do that secondly. And then thirdly, we'll do the painting. So we'll add in all our colors, of course. We'll use our standard Schmincke palette with our custom colors, which are basically basic, Winsor Newton and Holbein colors, our regular palette. If you ever need information on my palette, you just type in Chris Petri palette, and you can see all my videos on palettes, what kind of palettes I use, all my colors, everything like that. So all my information is there on YouTube. You just have to do a little quick typing in of some keywords like palette, my name, Chris Petri, and then type in palette, paints. You'll see all my gear and all my supplies that I use on a regular basis. So let's get started with the drawing. We'll cover every detail you need to get this painting done, and we're going to have lots of fun doing it. Thanks for coming by, of course, and working with some figure work here as we go, and see you in just a second. All right, so we just saw the finished painting, and let's get started with sort of the basic building blocks of a figure painting. So this is a seated male figure. What we're going to do is, again, I'll start out, I'm just going to try to get my, basically my rectangle on my paper situated here. Like that. Like this. Okay, and then once I have my rectangle set up on my paper, I'm pretty much all set now. I kind of know this is the dimensions I have to work within, and then I can set up my figure inside that rectangle. This looks more like a square, and I also have a photograph. It's copyright, so I can't really show it on camera. So I'm just going to try to do the best that I can. The main thing I always mention too on my channel is please try to work from my finished paintings. So at the end of the video, and then of course just at the beginning of the video, we just saw the finished painting, and then also we show the, as we're kind of finishing up our painting, you'll see the finished painting itself as it's, the last few minutes of the video. So at some point you can either stop the video at the very beginning, or at the very end you can do a screen capture if you can with your phone or your home computer or your iPad, whatever kind of electronic device you have, you can do that. You could also use a camera and take a picture of a screen of a phone or a TV or a home computer screen. So there's lots of ways you can kind of get creative to get your finished painting, so that you have that to work from, your reference. But I want you to use my finished painting as your reference, not my photograph. I'm working again from a copyrighted photograph, so I really can't put that on camera. Someone might, have a problem with that, when you're taking people's work that they, photographers take pictures and so forth, and then if you put their professional work on YouTube, they could say like it's a copyright infringement, and then I would have to take down this video, and I don't want to have that problem. So we'll just, again, suffice to say, let's use the finished painting that I create as your reference photograph to work from. So, and now we're just going to go through the kind of the steps that we're going to of how we're going to kind of get our figure in our painting just right. So first thing I'm going to do is look at my photograph across from me, and this is something you'll always see me kind of do on camera when we're doing our videos, is I try to break down my rectangle, my square, into divisions. Like sometimes I go quarters, so maybe I'll break it down into 4 quarters going up, and then maybe 4 quarters going across. Or I might go thirds and go 1/3 up, 1/3 up, 1/3 up, 1/3 across, 1/3 across. So this one here, the painting seems to be like quarters. I think it works better that we use the quarter points. So I'll just do that. I'll just say, okay, the halfway point here. You can use a ruler if you want, or you can just do it by eye if you feel comfortable doing that. I feel comfortable. I can kind of get a halfway point for my paper approximately there. So I can make a dot there. And that's my halfway point, so I can do a light sketch line across the paper. So I figure that's about a halfway point there. And I might even say, you know what, that halfway point, I'm probably going to maybe drop that down just a little bit. So I'll take my halfway point and then say, let me go a little below the halfway point and make that my kind of starting point where I'm going to put the chair for the seated male figure pose here. So that's going to be like our chair, the seat of our chair and the seat of our figure. And then we're going to have the figure, seated male figure here on this side of the painting, and then sort of flowing down this way. So let's take another look here, and I'm going to look and say, all right, that is good. About a little below halfway is the bottom of the chair. Okay, and the next thing I might do is from this, I might go another, I might again use this halfway point as perhaps the elbow of the figure that's resting on the chair, perhaps like that. So I'm just doing some very light sketch lines to kind of help myself to get everything according to what I want to do here in the painting. And then I can sort of start working the figure like this. Okay, so that's the shoulders over here, and then the head of the figure here. So I can kind of okay, so I'm going to start off with the head as an oval here. And it's maybe just a touch. It's almost just a little bit turned. The head is turned a little bit to the right, but not much. And then we have the head there. So then we'll create our oval for our head like that. And then we'll do our shoulder. And our shoulder's about the bottom of the chin area. Like that. Comes down. And then we have our elbow here. So I just want to carefully okay, so I want to sort of starting to kind of get the general feel of everything here. Okay, so I'm just going to sort of get the feel of the hands here. And the arm here, and then the shoulder over here. So I'm just kind of working out the forms of the body here, the upper body. Okay, and then we have the arm here. Okay, and we have so we have two arms here. We have a hand over here that's a little bit obscured by the chair, the arm of the chair. So, and again, I always mention when you are drawing, when you're drawing the figure, really anything in watercolor or in any kind of pencil sketch, things always look a little bit off. Let's say not always that perfect. You have to trust that you're just getting things halfway decent when you're doing your drawing, but you're not looking and focusing on your drawing for it to look like a perfect finished product. That's the main thing I wanted to mention here is when I'm doing my drawing, I'm looking at it, I'm saying, oh, this looks off, that looks off, but I ignore all of that because I realize it's just like when you're doing a pencil drawing, you're just kind of sketching out lines or drawing lines in there. Once you start painting, that's when you can kind of sculpt and change things and kind of, it's almost like you're a sculptor. Your pencil drawing is almost like a lump of clay that you start off with, your pencil drawing. And then once you start painting, if this makes sense, does that make sense? Once you start painting, then you can kind of sculpt that clay that you have. You can start trimming off a little bit here, trimming off a little bit there, maybe adding some clay over here and over there. You start, molding things and, kind of sculpting things and fine-tuning things as you are when you're into the painting process. So for right now, I'm not going to get critical. I'm not going to start erasing with my eraser and getting too worried about things. I'm just going to try to do the best I can to look at the subject matter, this male figure seated pose in a chair, and just try to do the best I can and just trust that I'm looking at all the angles correctly. And it's not going to be perfect, but I just want to mention that at the beginning, when you're starting your drawing and when you're kind of working through your pencil drawing, don't worry so much because it can be very deceiving when you're doing your pencil drawing. It can almost fool you into thinking that you're way off on all your measurements or the way you're seeing things, but don't let that sort of distract you. Just get in there, try to look at all the angles, look at things kind of, we're looking at things. We said the head is up here first, then we get the shoulders in. Now we're working on the arms. And if you're just looking at my finished painting, of course, you're going to be working from, you just look at that and you just keep working it. And again, if it doesn't come out great the first time, you're going to try this painting 2, 3, 4, 5 times, maybe over the next couple months or so. If you like this painting and you want to try it again and again to kind of perfect it more, the more you would do this type of painting over and over again, the easier it will get, the more familiar you will get with the painting, with the model, with everything. And then each time you do it, you'll get a little more satisfaction from your results because you're going to it'll look better each time you do it most times. Most often, each time you create a painting, the same painting again, and you're duplicating it, you will get better and better each time you do it. Something you'll just be able to kind of create a better product each time you go. But I know that's we're getting long-winded here. I don't want to, keep going down, a trail and, forget about what we're doing here. We're trying to get this painting completed. So let's continue working. And, all right, so now I'm just constantly referring back to my photo and I have the chair here and this comes down here. Okay, so now I have my chair. This is the arm of the chair. Then I come over where the hand is and I say the actual arm of the chair is a little bit on an angle like this. So the arm of the chair is not really level. It's actually on a little bit of a tilt upwards. It's a director's chair, actually. So the arm of the chair is going to be a little bit on an upward angle. So then I know, okay, that's that. And I'm going to take that angle and come upwards with that angle like this. And then that chair comes out a little bit beyond the seated figure's left hand. And so then we make the handle of the chair here. And it comes down this way. And at this point you could take a ruler if you wanted to. And so that you have more of sometimes a ruler is really going to be a good thing if you can you can use rulers to get things a little more exact, and I think it's going to look good. Okay, so that's what I wanted to do there. like that. So we could do a few things with a ruler. I wouldn't do a lot of the painting, or most of the painting with a ruler, but I will use some of the ruler to kind of get some more exacting lines. Okay, so now we have the chair, and the chair goes back this way a little bit. So let's do the side of the chair here. And this is again where I will use the ruler just to get the chair. Okay, I noticed that the top of the chair here is a little thicker. And this is a little bit thinner, the bottom wood section of the bottom of the seat of the chair is there. And then it comes out a little bit here. And then I notice right away that over here is the cushion, the seat portion. It's maybe like a canvas seat, like that. And then over here by this. So we can start working on the chair now. Let's kind of get ourselves, maybe we'll work on this part here. This is one angle we can kind of get. So sometimes you can take your pencil and you can go up to the photograph. If you're working from a photograph in front of you, you can take your pencil and go up and hold it right on the picture and then bring your pencil down and keep it at the same angle. So you just want to hold the angle, keep your pencil at that same angle, like this, and then you come down like this, like that. And then you can get the angle pretty close that way. And you can take the ruler and then hold the ruler there and then lift that up like that. That would work pretty well. So I will take this here and come down that way, like that. And then we have, this is kind of three-dimensional, so we have that there and then another like that. Okay, so what I want to do is, to see if my angle is correct, I would hold up my pencil again and sort of see how this goes. That looks pretty good there. Then I'll take another angle here. This is going to be the other leg coming in the other direction, this way. So now this one here is not quite straight. It's a little bit on an angle like this. And we'll try that, like that. Like that. So I'm going to leave these kind of undone a little bit on the bottom. We can erase these a little bit on the bottom, the legs of the chair, to adjust it to what we think is the proper length of the legs of the chair. But for the most part, you just want to get the legs of the chair drawn in, penciled in, but you can leave the bottoms of the chair kind of unfinished at first until you kind of get most of all the legs of the chair drawn in, and then you can kind of see if you need to go a little longer or if you need to shorten them up a little bit. Yeah, it's like a little bit of a, we're trying to just work it a little bit at a time, but you will notice that the angles of the legs of the chair are usually the same. So this leg here of this chair over here, and again, this is a director's chair. If you slide over that same angle this way, you're going to see that it's the same angle. Then it's just a matter of where does that start, and it's there, and then we come down, and I notice that it's up this way a little higher, this way, so it's about there. And I'll go over this drawing darker in a few minutes. Okay, so I know this might get a little bit dicey because you're trying to look and see what I'm doing, and I realize actually that it's hard to see the pencil line. So I'm going to go over this with a dark pencil line next. I just want to get the beginning of this in good. So I'll come down this way with that leg of the chair there. And let's see where else okay, now we just have to do this. We have to do this here. We have to look at the bottom of this leg here, the final leg of this chair. Where is that going to kind of look like it sits once it's, and it's pretty much right at the edge here. If we take a plumb line and we drop a plumb line down here straight, this leg here of this final leg of this chair over here is actually over here like this, like that. So I'm trying to kind of angle it, and using a ruler really helps when you're doing this part, the chair. That's what I'm saying, that using a ruler, like a small ruler like this, really helps if you're doing the chair, because you can kind of take your time and make sure you're looking at things correctly. Like right now I'm looking at the triangle that is made by the two legs here on the right side of the chair. Over on this side, over on this side over here, the chair, there's a V or a triangle that's created. So I just want to make sure I have that triangle looking like very, very similar to the photograph. And that does look good. And then I have to take that line and bring it down, and this goes in front like that. And I make the lines like this, a little bit wider at the bottom here, and then a little bit wider over there. And then this has a little bit of over there. And then over here too, there's a little bit of that's in behind. And that's another thing we'll kind of mention, what's in front and what's behind as far as our the legs of our chair. That's important too. And but I think we really are doing a really good job right now of kind of taking our time in the beginning doing our drawing. And then once we're done with our drawing, then we can have a lot more fun painting. But the drawing part is really critical here to try to get things really close to what you want. And again, you're going to be working for my finished painting. And I'm going to take a break right now. Once I get this chair and the rest of this figure in, we will then go over with a darker pencil line so you can kind of see more of the drawing with dark pencil lines, so that it's easier for you to recreate it. If you want to actually work from the pencil drawing that I've done here, you can again stop your video on the pencil drawing. Once I go over the darker lines, you can stop the video there and you can draw from that, or you can just wait till we finish the whole painting and then draw your pencil drawing from the finished watercolor painting. So that's up to you. You can do it either way. You can work from my finished pencil drawing, or you can work from my finished painting. Either way is fine, I think. That'll work either way. But again, we're doing the figure here, seated figure and male figure, and we're going to keep working on it. Let's take just a quick break. We've worked quite a bit already, and that's the main thing, is I take breaks because right now my concentration, we've been working hard for the first 20 minutes or so. Let's not keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and the next thing you know, we're starting to fatigue and we're, losing our concentration. But if you have great concentration, and some of you do out there, you can keep working, that's fine. But as myself personally, I usually need to take a break after 15, 20 minutes. I need to kind of take a rest and then get back again after 5 or 10 minutes of a break. Okay. All right. So we'll be right back. All right. So we're continuing to work on our male seated figure. And I always mention, I will go over this with a darker pencil line. Now, what I usually call this is a preliminary sketch, what I'm doing right now. And this is a challenging drawing and painting. Figure paintings usually are very challenging. They're not simple. You have to kind of, have created maybe some figures, some portrait paintings. You kind of get used to the human form. You do a little bit of figure work. You do some portrait work. So this is more for someone that's kind of, you've been working with the figure and the portrait a little bit, but you can still be a beginner and work on this painting. There's no question you can do that too and just have fun with it. And but the thing I usually would say is this is something, it's like a 3-part process. The first part of your process, you're going to do a light pencil sketch to get everything where you sort of want it when you're doing your preliminary sketch. Then you can go over with your darker pencil line to give it a little more excitement and add that darker pencil line in. And then after that, we'll paint it. So it's a three. So right now we're doing the preliminary sketch. It's very hard to see it on camera. So if anything, you're just kind of hearing me talk about things as I'm going, and you're seeing me move around with my pencil, and I'm using my ruler and doing hash marks and explaining things as I go. So this is real important that you can kind of follow along, even though it's hard to see what I'm doing. As far as I can tell now, I'm looking at my camera viewfinder on my camera, my video camera, and I can see that you can barely see the sketch. I understand that. So have a little patience here. Forgive me if it's hard to see, but I have to do this light sketch first, because if I start going in with a real dark pencil line first, then if I want to adjust things and erase things a little bit, it becomes very much like unpleasant looking when you have all those erasing marks on the paper. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I just want to explain as I go how I kind of work this process so you can kind of understand. All right, so now we left off, we did the head, the shoulders, the arms, and then we started working we did the chair, the director's chair here. Now, when we're done with our director's chair, and actually we can add in the bottom of the director's chair, and I would say the thing I usually use is once I start my drawing, I use my head as my gauge for the rest of the body. So my head length is my first oval that I draw, which is the head for the figure. And then from there, I can just measure everything and say, okay, if I look across from me on the photograph that I'm working from, how many head lengths down is the seat of the chair? 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 4 head lengths down to the chair approximately, to the seat of the chair. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Perfect. It works out good that I have the seat of the chair situated properly. And now what I do is we have that correct, where we have the head and the body correct down to the seat of the chair. And now we're going to start working from the seat of the chair down this way. And we did draw in the chair carefully according to what we were seeing in the photograph. And then now I might say, all right, I want to get the bottom of the chair where there's dowels that hold the bottom of the chair, the legs of the chair together. So if I just want to take a quick look, I look across from me and I hold up my pencil to my photograph and I scale down and say how many head lengths down from the head to these dowels in the bottom of this director's chair. So I say 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5. So I say, all right, I do that. I say 1, 2, 3, 4.5. Now that actually, I think I need to go a little further than that. So I'm just going to really do this by feel. I would say that the legs of the bottom of the chair are like this. Like that. So that's the first one here. That's behind. Like that. And again, I'm doing it with a ruler. You can do this freehand if you feel comfortable. And then the next one here is approximately here. And again, I'm carefully looking at my drawing across from me. And that's how I'm kind of getting everything. Then I might look at this and say, it needs to be a little further, this dowel here. So I erase that and just move it a little bit further this way. Like that. And then that looks good there. And there's some grass here. So we don't have to make it perfect or anything like that, the bottom of the chair. Okay, so now we have the chair situated here. We have some grass. I'll put some wisps of grass there at the bottom of the feet of the chair, the legs of the chair. And now we're going to continue. And what I'd like to do is we're going to do the first thing we'll do is before we do this knee over here, so this figure's leg is crossed. So what we'll do is we'll work on the left leg of this figure here first. And we'll kind of see that the left leg here is on a slight angle down this way, like that. And then the figure's right leg is here, and it's coming down, and it's sort of foreshortened, so it's not going to be, the leg is not going to be really far down in this picture frame. It's foreshortened, so the actual heel of this figure's shoe is right here at the level of the chair. So his heel actually comes over here, like that. And we're just going to do like that. So we're just doing the sneakers for the figure. And then there's some socks here, and then the jeans are over here. Okay, so now we have the leg here. Then I can always double check and say, you know what, I think I need to make the knee up a little bit higher. And then how about the elbow here? How about, I'm going to say, I want to make sure this elbow's not too high. So I'm going to use, again, my head lengths and figure out how many head lengths down to the elbow. 1, 2. So 1, 2. Yeah, so that elbow looks fine. Again, your drawing is sometimes going to look a little bit, sometimes the drawing can look a little bit awkward or something. You know, can't worry about that. And then his other leg comes down here, and his other knee is here. And that's just a little bit of the knee showing there. And then it comes down here. And then his other leg comes down here. And then his shoe is down here. His sneakers there. It looks like some moccasins or loafers. And then we have the bottom of the shoe, and there's grass over here and things, so we're not going to get too worried about getting every detail of the shoe. But that looks pretty good. And we always remember too, as the feet, I would say the shoes and the legs, they're closer to us, so they're going to look a little larger. So you could almost kind of exaggerate and make them a little bit larger than you might see in the photograph. That's something you can do to create a little bit of three-dimensionality in your painting and perspective when you're doing drawings. Is you can kind of like add in a tiny bit of exaggeration on sizes of things. So the closer things are, you can make the shoes a little larger to make them look like they're closer, and then the body and the upper body and the head you might make a little bit, tiny bit smaller, so you can kind of adjust the scale of your drawing accordingly. So I think we really have a good drawing here. And again, what I'll do is, while we've created this drawing, the pencil drawing, I'm just going to get the head and the face, some glasses here. Okay, so these are okay. So I'm gonna do some glasses. All right, so what I'm going to do now is take another break. We're going to work on the portrait part of this painting now, the face of the figure. We want to get in some a good detail, but not too much detail because, you know, it's the whole picture we're worried about. We wouldn't go with too much detail on the portrait part of this painting, like the face. We're going to make some details, of course, with the glasses and the nose and the mouth and the hair. We'll get some good detail in there, but not too overboard. So we wouldn't want to really like spend an hour on doing all the details of the hair and the glasses and the nose and the mouth and the portrait of this painting. We want to keep everything sort of harmonious together while we're doing this painting and not just go overboard with too much detail in one area, if that makes sense. So we just want to keep everything balanced. We want to keep a balanced painting going, so we just want to get the rest of the drawing in with our facial features. We do want to get a little bit of detail on the face, the hair, the glasses on this figure, and also maybe a little bit, we'll maybe do a little bit of work on the hands, and then that should be fine. Okay, all right, so let's get started again in just a few minutes. I want to take another break, and then once we get the features of the face here on this painting, then I'll go over with the darker pencil line around the whole entire drawing so you can kind of see how it all kind of fits together. Okay, all right, so be right back, and we'll get started in just a second. All right, so we're going to continue on here. I'm working on the portrait part of the painting now, the glasses, the nose. I just did a little bit of work as we were away, just a second or two. I wanted to do the a little bit of the details to the head here, and then we'll do some hair. So there's some dark some shadowing under the hair, and then there's some. So this male figure has longer hair, and it's interesting. It's got some waves to it. So we have okay, good, and I think that's fine. And then we have the shirt here. There's a kind of like a V-neck shirt here. It's a dark navy shirt, so or like a medium blue to dark blue shirt. So we're not going to do a lot of details to it because, you know, it's sort of very dark. We'll kind of add some variation to it as we paint it. But I think we're really starting to, I think right now we can start actually we can do the darker pencil line now as we go. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just go across from me here. I'll set this back up again like that. Okay, so now I think we can start with our darker pencil line. I'm just going to see if I have a mechanical pencil here. Okay, I'll use a mechanical pencil now, just so I can, I'm going to go with a darker line, so I think so I'm going to start on the head, the human head here, and I'm just going to go with some subtle parts to the head. I'm not going to go overboard with details. That can really cause problems if we start to work with too much detail in this type of a painting. We just want to capture the essence of the painting itself. We don't want to get too bogged down in a lot of details. That can really cause issues. So I'm going to go here. So now I'm doing the arm. And this figure is quite muscular. So I'm trying to capture that in my drawing. And then I'm kind of doing almost like mittens, like winter mittens first for the hands, and then we can kind of get the details of the hand maybe as we're painting. And but I will actually work a little bit on the details of the hand once I get the rest of this here. So there we go. We have I think you can start to see now more of the details of everything. So we have the head up here, the V-neck shirt here. And then we have the arms coming down. And then we have the chair, so we can start doing the chair. And I'm going to do this contour style. So I'm just going to start working around the painting. It's the pad of paper here. And this all is the dark blue jeans, so we're not really going to see the subtle details of one leg to the next. We could put a line in there just so we know that yes, there is the two legs here. So we can put that in, but I think when we're painting, that's going to all become lost edges, as they say. There's lost and found edges. So when we're doing a painting like this, we're looking at it and saying, as we're drawing it, where are there going to be where are the lost and found edges in the painting? Once we start painting, we'll want to key in on that. So here I'm doing the chair, the seat of the chair, the director's chair, and then I will notice that this is behind, like that. And then I'm just going to do the same thing here. Like this, and then there's a little bit of a shadow here. Like that. And then over here, this is in front. So again, I'm doing the contour drawing. And these are the dowels that go across. Like that. Then we have the shoe over here. And then here you can make the shoe a little larger if you want. It's up to you, but I think it looks a little better if we exaggerate and make things a little bit larger. Okay, and I think that's fine. That really looks like we have the nuts and bolts of everything for the drawing. And then what I did say I was going to do, we have the hands here. So what I'd like to do is maybe make a Make some lines for the space divisions between the fingers, like that. And then over here, I think I'm just going to kind of blend that in, so I won't do any detail to the left hand of the figure that's over here sort of holding the pad of paper that's in his lap. But this hand here, I do a little bit of detail here. I have a little bit of the knuckles and the front of the hand here. So just to give a little detail, again, not too much detail in any one place in the painting. But now you've seen, now we have the finished drawing, the pencil drawing. So the next thing we're going to do is start painting, and that's going to be a lot of fun. This is really where we kind of just let our creativity flow. We're going to be mixing some beautiful colors with this painting and just enjoying it. The only thing I will do is I think we need to, before we start the painting, is we're going to kind of capture the mood of the setting here. This is actually a field here. So I'm going to go across here with the field. There's a field they're working in. And over here, it's a little bit, you can see a little bit there. And then there's a bit of some trees over here. So we're going to have a little bit of some trees and foliage over here. Like that. That should be fine. Just a little bit of trees in the distance here. I don't think I'll do much more than a little bit of trees, and then we'll blend it right into the grass, and then it'll sort of be mostly, we're keying in on the figure painting here, and we're not getting too much going on with our background and things like that. That's just a subtle backdrop for the painting. Okay. And then we have a sky too, which we'll do a little bit of the sky. And we have some clouds, so I'll just do a couple little pencil lines for angles, just to kind of remember that the angles of the clouds are sort of a little bit, on an angle like this, the clouds. But we could be more free about the sky and not worry too much. We'll worry about that when we get to it. The sky wash. The most important thing now is we're going to start working our colors for our figure painting. And first thing we'll do is mix up some flesh tone colors for the head and the arms. Once we have the head and the arms with our flesh tones, then we can start working in all the rest of the clothing and the hair and all that. And it'll be a lot of fun. So we'll be right back. All right, so we're going to start painting now. First thing I like to do before I paint, you saw the dark sketch we created. Sometimes what I like to do is just do a little bit of erasing, just a touch here and there, just to soften up some of these dark pencil lines. I don't want to have every pencil line incredibly dark, but I did make them so that you could see the pencil lines really clearly. Okay, so I do a little bit of that erasing, just a touch of it. And then I think I'm going to start out with a number 5 Da Vinci travel brush. And then what I always do is when I'm starting my painting, I will just empty my water container, make sure I have fresh, clean water when I start as I paint. That's part of the painting process for me. Many of you that have been following me for many years always know that I always mention that, like to just, when you're starting your painting, start out with fresh, clean water, and then work from there. So the first thing we'll do is we'll create some flesh tones, and our figure has a lighter skin tone, Caucasian, so we're going to go with our standard cadmium red and some yellow ochre. Okay, so cadmium red, yellow ochre. I would say I tend to look at it. I tend to also usually grab a little bit of burnt sienna with my flesh tones. But that is about my flesh tone. Then I like to add over here on a separate place, a little bit of blue, cool cerulean blue for some shadow color. This way, when we do our colors for our flesh tones, we have a little bit of coolness on the maybe the outer edges of the head, and then in the center of the head we have more of the warmer cadmium red and yellow ochre mix. Okay, so that's the first thing I'll do is I'll cadmium red and a little bit of yellow ochre, and what we'll do is we'll start out and we'll do the face, and we can go right over the glasses. That's fine. So what I'll do is I'll do the nose first like that and let the paint just sit on there for a second so that soaks in a little bit. I want the nose to be a little more red, and then it'll project a little bit more. It'll look like it's sort of three-dimensional. So then once I have that, where the nose just sits there a little bit with red, and then I can, from there I start to mix my color around for the face here. All right, I do that, and I come right around here. I come right down into the neck area, and I go right up here like so, and I keep the brush on the paper the whole time. I don't want to lift up the brush because that makes awkward spots on the paper. And then once I'm done with that, quickly I rinse off the brush quick, and I grab some of that blue, that cerulean blue, and then I take that cerulean blue quickly and I just sort of make a little bit of that, a little bit of the shadow on the sides of the head, like that. And then I just go over that and blend it all together. Okay, that looks good. And you can blend that right into the hair too. These colors can go right into the hair. And then I'll grab more of that more of the flesh tone here. And again, I try to do the same thing. I try to keep the brush moving without lifting up as much as possible. Like that. And that is good. We have the flesh tones in. And that is good. We have to let it dry now. The flesh tones. We don't want to disturb the flesh tones at all. Once we're painting the rest of the painting, we'll just remember we have to let this first glazing of the flesh tones on the figure, the head and the arms, the feet, or the rest of the body doesn't have any flesh tones. It's all clothing. So, but the arms, the hands, and the face, that basically has to dry 100% before we start painting anything else. So that's why I mentioned we must let this dry now. I will take a break for about 5 or 10 minutes. I might even have the blow dryer and blow dry off a little bit of the flesh tones so that we can continue working. But that shouldn't be a problem. So we'll get back started in just a second. All right, so we let this dry a little bit, the arms and the face that we just did, our first glazing, our first wash. I will zoom in a little bit here. Let's see if I can zoom in just a touch here. Okay, that's a little better. All right, so I've zoomed in a little bit. Now we're going to start to work on maybe we'll do the eyeglasses. So I'll go with some French ultramarine blue, burnt sienna for the eyeglasses maybe. And we'll just we're not going to, I think the main thing here is we don't want to become too consumed with like details everywhere. We just want to kind of look at the tonal values, the darks and the lights of everything. Glasses, and then we can do some shadowing. We can use that same shadowing color under the nose here a little bit. So I'm going to start to now that if that starts to look like, if you get worried and you say, all right, that's a mustache, it doesn't look close to the photograph, that's not a problem. You can just you can start to just carefully add in some washes just to kind of get some shadows. And I won't probably do a lot of details here. And I'll be very careful going around the glasses area. I'll do some more red here on the just on the tip of the nose. That makes it the nose project a little bit. And again, I'm not going to get consumed in too many details. I'll put some more reddish flesh tone up here just to have okay, and less is more. We're going to do some raw umber here for some of the hair, raw umber, some burnt umber, maybe a little bit of cerulean blue too. So those will be the three colors for the hair. And what I'll do is I'll start making some of the darker darks under the hair here. And I don't want to get too consumed in too many details again with the hair. I want to try to keep it accurate to the photo. Maybe I'll get some raw sienna here. And this figure's hair is blonde. A little bit of shadows on the underside here where we have. And this is where I try to really, if you go a little bit too much with the hair, you can always lift up a little bit with the okay, you can add some gold colors here. Like this. A little bit of longer hair. And then we go in with some of the darker wash and we kind of try to blend it in, the darker shadow areas under here. Okay, I don't do too much details here. and that's fine. And then it always helps if you can add a little bit of sky color maybe and blend it in. We're going to do sky colors and sky washes. So that what that does is that actually keeps the this figure's like hair from sort, and the head from sort of looking cut out and pasted down on the paper. So right away, if you can get some sky wash in there and blend that into the hair, just a touch here and there. You don't have to develop everything right now and get that all completed, but that is going to help to sort of blend that in. And I think that looks much better right now. And you can blend in some things here and there. I might have went a little bit dark with my pencil lines over here. So I try to compensate and get a little bit of the French ultramarine blue, and so maybe this figure's hair is going to be a little bit darker than maybe I originally thought I could do, because I don't want to. I think that looks okay though. Okay, that looks good. All right, so we've done a lot of work already. And the thing is, too, when we're doing, so now we're going to start working in some cobalt blue, French ultramarine blue, and we're just going to start creating the shirt here. A little bit of a darker dark there. Okay. Now I can maybe get a larger brush if I So now I can get a little bit of a larger brush and okay, a little bit of the darker blue over here. A little bit lighter there. Okay, and now we just keep working our blue, burnt sienna, burnt umber. You know, we kind of mellow out the blue a little bit. We don't want to go straight blue, so we just mix up our blues to sort of this way we can kind of blend it all. Now the thing with our blue and our golds that we just used, some raw umber, you want to definitely do that quickly. You wouldn't want to wait too much time to do that. You want to kind of get it all kind of quickly, and I'll add some more, a little bit of golden color there. So I try to mix up some gold and blue like that. And you can add some other washes as well once you're... And then I'll start to work on the bottom portion here where the seat is, the chair. Okay, that's the chair. And we have a little bit lighter up here on the top of the jeans, and then they get darker. A little bit lower here, they're darker, the jeans. We could incorporate a little bit of purple, just to have a little bit of change in some of the color. Okay, there we go. And there's some darker tonal values there. Maybe I leave a little bit of a highlight there, just to sort of kind of capture that little bit of light there. And then what I'll do is I'll start working the chair at the same time, like this. So this is the chair, the framing of the chair, the wood. Go. And blend in a few things here. All right, so we're actually really going well here. We have everything kind of coming together pretty nicely. And then we're going to have some cerulean blue, touch of red here, burnt sienna. Let's just use the same colors now. Let's not kind of drift off and use different colors in our palette. Let's stick with the same colors we've been using so far. I wouldn't want to introduce any other colors now. So anything you've used so far, if you're painting along in this painting and you're saying, well, what colors am I going to use next? Just remember, try to recall that you're going to want to keep, at this point in the painting, you're going to want to keep all your colors the same, or you don't want to use anything different. You can blend the colors differently, but I would say keep with the same colors we've been using. And that should really work well. And let's do the further on down here, the jeans. These are pretty dark here, so I'm going to burnt umber, French ultramarine blue, burnt sienna. A little bit of a shadow there maybe. A little bit darker. And then we'll get back into the blue. Up a little bit of dark there. It's kind of dark under here. The shadows tend to be a little darker there under the side of the... So the light is sort of coming from this side of the painting across, I think. So the shadows are sort of on this side. And then I would let everything dry, though, now at this point. I would not do too much. And we'll do some of the shoe over here. Okay. All right, so now you can kind of see things are starting to come together a little bit. We have some paint on our, well, actually we painted most of the figure, so we're actually looking good. We're in good shape. We have the flesh tones in, the face, the arms and hands, and then we also have our blue jeans and our blue shirt completed. So this is really like coming along really nicely now. Next thing we're going to want to do is when we come back is let's work maybe some of the greens here, these trees in the background. We'll blend that into the picture. And then from there, we'll do some more work to the chair and then some foreground painting to the grass and things like that. But I think things are coming along really nicely. I think so far we haven't had any issues. I think everything looks good. So I'm glad you're joining along. I hope you'll subscribe. I don't know if I've mentioned that so far in this video, but on the right-hand side below, you'll see the subscribe button. And all that does is just, when you click subscribe, it'll just, YouTube will let you know that we've created a new video. So as we work each week, we create 1 or 2 videos every week or sometimes more. And so you'll just be alerted when those new videos are completed and online for you on YouTube. And that's really it. That's all that the subscribe button really is about, is just alerting you to new videos and new content that we're creating. And I'm hoping you're going to join along and paint along with us here and give these a go. These paintings are fun. I think usually here on this type of painting, as long as you practice a few portrait fundamentals, and I have a lot of portrait fundamental painting tutorials on my channel. If you type in Chris Petri portrait paintings, you'll find that I have about a dozen or more portrait painting videos. And if you just work on a few of those first, you'll get the hang of the portrait and how you draw and kind of create the portrait, where the nose and the eyes and everything go. And then after that, you can really come in and tackle a project like this, a painting like this, because really the portrait is the most difficult part, getting the eyes and the nose and the mouth in the right areas and to have it look good. And then, the body too, is the human form is a little less challenging than I would say the face. The human head is a little more challenging than the body, but the body also has its challenges too. It's kind of difficult. So, but don't worry about it. Do what you can. Maybe you just want to do one part of this painting. Maybe just do the portrait from like the shoulders up, or from maybe the chest upwards. You can just do the portrait part of this painting, or maybe you just want to go for it and just do the whole thing. It's a lot of fun. And again, the more you practice these type of paintings, you're just going to get better and better at it. It's just a matter of doing it over and over again. And each time you do it, you just make a few more observations and a few more things that you just kind of lock in and understand a little better. And before you know it, it becomes a lot less difficult, and it becomes more fun, and you have more of a fun and free time doing your figure paintings when you've just worked on them a little bit here and there. And that's all it is just putting a little bit of time in. Every once in a while, you work on some figure work, some portrait work, some human form work. And next thing you know, you'll be kind of more used to it, more familiar with it, and it just goes easier. So again, like anything else, the more you do it, the better you're going to get. All right, so thanks again for watching here. As we're going along, we're going to finish up maybe in the next half an hour. We're going to finish up the rest of the painting. This painting does take a while to get everything all completed. We're, kind of working step by step as you have seen here. And maybe what I'll do is I'll possibly maybe zoom in a little bit more on the next part of the video so that we get a little more of the painting in view. I don't know if you need to see the palette at all times, but, well, I might leave it this way, I think, because I think you want to see my color mixing as I go. But in any case, wonderful to have you here. We're having lots of fun, and we're going to get right back to it just in a second. All right, so we are actually going to start kind of finishing up the background of the painting and some of the chair. And I think that's really going to end the sky, and we should have a completed painting. So right now, I'm going to actually empty my water pail. And this way I can start out with some more fresh water. I'm also going to look for a larger brush, I think, for the sky. Okay, so I picked up a few larger brushes from my table across the way here. So I would say now with the colors that we've used, we want to stick with the same colors. So we can make a green, I think, for the trees over here with some cerulean blue. And some raw umber, maybe a touch of sap green. Okay, we didn't use sap green so far, but we should use some of that for our trees over here, I think. And some French ultramarine blue for the shadows. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to start to get in some of the shadows of the trees over here. And I'm going to leave the trees over here sort of blending in with the figure. These are going to be a little loose and more fun. I'm not going to get too worried about too many details here. I'll splash on some of the leaves. So this is where I can kind of move along pretty expeditiously by just doing some minimal tree type shapes here. And this is like a field here. Then I'll take my brush, dry it off with a little bit of tissue like this, dry off my brush, and then just blend it in here with the jeans here. That looks good. So now we're starting to, the figure is looking less cut out and pasted because we're starting to tie in the background with the figure. And as we see, the trees in the distance here, they are extremely close in tonal value as the jeans of this seated figure, male seated figure. So that means that you can utilize that to keep your figure from looking cut out and pasted by just blending in those tonal values, which are very, very similar. And then we'll do the same thing over here. We're going to Okay, and we're going to continue on. Cerulean blue, a little bit of raw umber, touch of sap green. And then here we're going to come up, I think, like this. And again, try to blend in the background with the figure a little bit. So I'll put those tree branches and foliage like that. Okay, that looks good. I'll try to do a little bit of splashing with a little more of the cerulean blue, raw umber. Okay, I'm going to carefully hit that with some splashing, like this. And we might come back also with a finer brush, maybe just to get a little bit of branches. We can do that too. Okay, so okay, I think we'll let this dry up here now, the tree areas, so that we can, if we let these trees here dry, then that'll give us an advantage, because when we go in to do our sky wash, we won't be sort of having problems with those two intermingling, the sky and the trees we've just painted. That could cause some problems, so if we let this dry, we're way better off. So let's do that. Let's let the trees over here dry, and let's start over here. And I'll just do a touch more of the cerulean blue and raw umber over here, like that. Okay, that's good. And then if I think I'm going to shift back. I'll shift back over to a little bit of a smaller brush again. I'm going to go back to I think this is a number 8 Charles Reed travel brush, and then I have the number 10 Charles Reed travel brush that I just did the trees with. So we'll do the sky wash with the number 10 travel brush, and then we'll use the number 8 here to start doing a few more details to the chair. So let's start working on the chair just a little bit more. In that we can use raw umber, burnt sienna, French ultramarine blue. So we can have a bit of some cerulean blue too as well. Okay, this looks a little darker here, so I'm going to do that. And that's what I'm going to try to do, is get the dark washes that I see. I could get some burnt sienna up here just to add some different color changes. And then here have that there. So I'm carefully looking at the shadows. So over here it's a little darker. And it lightens up a little bit here, like that. It's a little darker under here where that dowel is. And that one too, so those are a little darker. And then if I go right in quickly with a little bit of that lighter tone, that gives us the light and shadow effect. That's kind of a dark under there, like so. And there's more shadow under the chair, of course. So there's always a little more shadowing under the chair areas because the light's coming down across the picture. So the shadowing on the chair, the components of the chair, you're going to have more shadowing on the upper portions of the components, like the legs of the chair over here, and then they lighten up a little bit over here. Like that. Okay, so we are still working on the chair here, and now, again, we're not going to get too many details. I think a little bit of darks over here might be good. That'll be good if we add a little bit of darks here, darker tonal values, like that. And then we'll add some darker, maybe some branches and things, some trunks of trees. But I think we are looking really good here. I would say at this point, let's start working on the sky. That should be fine now. Everything looks pretty much dry. So again, the sky washes, mostly cerulean. And then over here in the palette, since we're going to do the sky wash, we're going to need quite a bit of paint. So that little bit of residual paint there is not going to bother anything. And we're going to make the sky light, I think. So I'll take the brush here and just wet the paper just a little bit. Like this. I'll just try to dampen the paper a little bit. And then pick up some tone, some cerulean blue with a little bit of the gold. And I'm not going to fuss too much with the sky, I think. I'm just going to try to blend everything in nicely. And I think that's fine. Less is more. I might take a little bit of paper towel and just clean the spot here, like so. Add a touch of orange. I would say even some yellow ochre is fine, since we already used the yellow ochre and raw sienna. That would be good, just to add some here along the lower portion of the sky. Gives it that realistic look of the horizon line meeting the upper sky where it's cooler. A little bit warmer along the bottom of the skyline. Okay, I think that looks fine. And then now, I think we're going to do the same thing with the grass, cerulean blue and sap green. Since we use sap green a lot, we can use that again. And we'll just do some grass colors. And I think the grass up here is a little more, even a touch of that cadmium lemon yellow. So I'm going to make it a little more interesting there. Like this. Like that. A little bit of raw umber too. I might take a tissue or a paper towel and maybe I'll start to maybe make some marks going this way. Like that. And if you happen to don't worry about things too much if you have an issue. And then I'll just start working these same colors right across the whole painting. So where the back of the figure is, I'm just going to keep working those colors. I'm going to go sparingly though. I'm not going to add too much water over here because we just painted this chair. I don't want to add too much water where this chair is because that'll start to reactivate the paint colors that we just put into the chair. So if you're going to add paint under the chair here and by the chair, definitely go sparingly. And even if you have to, you can take a tissue and blot up a little bit once you do it. If you see some puddles forming or anything like that, you can lift those up like that. Okay, and then we'll do some more cerulean blue and some raw umber. And I'll just do some splashing like this just to sort of, I'd like to leave some of the white paper here. Then we have some raw umber here and some, so we're going to do some and we'll do the bottom of the shoe here. And we're going to have some grass too, a little bit of grass. But I will take a little bit of splashing in the foreground here. There could be some shadowing under the chair here. And I think there is, so I might pick up a little bit of the shadowing color here. It's a cloudy day here, somewhat cloudy day, partly cloudy day. So there is a little bit of shadows, but they're very, very mild. And so that I'm going to keep in mind. And again, I'd like to leave some white paper, but I think this is pretty good. So I think we're pretty much completed now. We have some grass here for the field, and we might do a little bit of detail once this dries. I think we could add a little bit of wisps of grass by the chair here, and then maybe a couple of branches over here in the background to kind of to give the painting just a few little bits of detail. And I think that would be, and I'll blot that up. If it's too much, don't worry. Blot up a little bit of, okay. Okay, we're going to let this dry now at this point. And you can use a blow dryer or let it dry naturally. Either way is fine. And then once we do that, we're going to add just those little bits of detail. Again, some branches, some tree trunks, maybe a couple wisps of grass around the figure's left foot, and also under the chair, just a touch. Okay. Maybe another few shadows on the portrait area, the face of the figure. Okay, so we're going to come right back in a second. All right, so what I noticed is after taking a break for a few minutes, I'd like to just add a few more touches of shadow to the face area and the arms, just to kind of define a few things that might help it to look a little bit more better as far as detail goes. I will get the flesh tone again and start with a little more flesh tone. Over here, cadmium red, a little bit of burnt sienna, touch of that, and then some yellow ochre. And then maybe a little bit of yellow cerulean blue. Okay, and a little bit of burnt umber too. Okay, that should be some good shadow color. Just a touch of shadow color. I want to just get a little bit of shadow here, like that. And once I do that, I just want to dry my brush off carefully with a tissue or on my apron, whatever I have. And that just gives us a little bit of shadow there. That looks a little better, just a little bit of shadow there. And then another little bit here I noticed too. Just a little bit there might look good. And maybe a little bit of blue here for the shirt. I think the shirt could blend down there a little bit. All right, that's a little bit of shadow there. I think that looks a little better. Just going to add a little bit of shadow here along the front of the hand. Like that. And I think there's some that there, and again some cerulean blue with flesh tone. Keep it a little bit warm, but have some warm and cool in there. I'm just going to put a bit of shadow there. Bit of shadow there. A little bit of shadow here and there. I think it looks okay. And I just have to carefully blend it so that it I think that is good, just a little bit of additional detail. Looks fine. And then we said we were just going to do maybe a we could take a little bit of raw umber with a needlepoint brush, raw umber, burnt umber, French ultramarine blue. A little bit of burnt sienna too. And then we can dry off the brush a little bit on a tissue, and then we can just do just a couple branches, some tree trunks. I think just a few here and there is going to look okay. Just enough for a few bits of detail there, and then here we can do the same thing here. Let's just do a couple wisps of grass here by the chair, just to give it a little bit of something there, just for some added detail. By the shoes here too. I think that looks pretty good. All right, let's call this finished. We got all of what we wanted to get completed. We said we wanted to kind of leave it overall, not too much detail in one area, so we kind of just made sure that we didn't focus too much time and energy on one location in the painting, on this figure painting. And I think we accomplished that. That can be a problem sometimes with doing figure work, is drawing pencil lines and too many in one area. Let's say too many like pencil lines in the face area or in the hands and the arms, like parts of the figure. We just try to get the figure in as best we can. And again, we always mention this, that when we're doing pencil drawings, they always look a little bit off, a little bit peculiar sometimes. Don't let that get you. As an artist, just remember, get your best try in and try not to do any a lot of erasing. If you have to do a little bit of erasing, that's fine. And that's why we did that preliminary sketch we talked about in the beginning, where I did very, very light sketch to start with. Then we went over with the darker pencil lines. And then after that, then we started our painting. But again, the painting is the same way. We just wanted to get our paint on the paper, get the washes on, and not too much focus of energy on one location. We just started with the flesh tones first and got our flesh tones on the arms second and hands. And then we started just painting in the rest of the figure downwards through the jeans, the chair, And then we got our background in with the trees and the distant fields here, and then a little bit of the grass and fields in the front, in the foreground, and just a few touches of minor details, just to give our painting a little look of very finished with some fine-tuned tree trunks and tree branches and a little bit of wisps of grass in the foreground. And I think that's all we needed to do to really finish everything up. And I'm glad you're here. Glad you're joining our channel each week as we paint. And we're going to continue to make wonderful figure paintings, as well as all the other things that we do. Seascapes, landscapes. We do flower paintings, still life paintings, beach scenes, ocean scenes, lighthouses. We do architecture, landscape, trees, mountains, everything watercolor. So whenever you're tuning into my channel, and if you're subscribing on the right-hand side below, remember it's going to be all watercolor on my channel, and we're just doing every type of subject matter. We mix it all up all the time, so everyone is happy with all the different subject matter. You can work along with us and know that eventually you're going to have some of your favorite subject matter coming up. So next week we might do flowers, or we might do a beach scene or a lighthouse. So always remember that you're always going to have your favorite subject matter in the mix here on my channel. That's what my main goal is, to make sure that you have everything you want to do on my channel here for you. And even if you're not so happy about some of the subject matter we do here, that's fine too. You can always just watch the video and learn about colors and washes and techniques and all things like that. So if you're just watching all the time, you're going to learn a lot. So I'm always hoping you'll always tune in just for the fact that we cover all the basics and fundamentals in watercolor, the methods, the techniques. We cover all the little nuances of watercolor so that you can really, after time, you'll be creating really beautiful paintings, okay? All right, so we'll see you soon. Thanks again for coming by. I wish everybody happy painting, and enjoy the watercolor journey. It's a fun journey. We just take our time and work along each week, and we'll get better and better as we go. Okay, see you soon.